What's going on, everybody? This week I want to talk about a revisit, something that was a little bit more brutal of when it came out back in like May or whenever this was. So this is a 6-month follow-up to LUX. So if you're unfamiliar with LUX, it is by Lloyd Barnes. And it is, in its most basic description, it is a UV light effect. So some of the stuff that you get is you get a UV marker, and you get this special UV light keychain. In my initial review, I was a bit rough on it, and I should have actually looked up to see if they added any more routines. But I had a lot to say about this, and some of those things still hold up. But as someone, as I've performed with it more, played around with it more, a lot of my opinions have changed. So this is kind of my follow-up and the redemption story of LUX. So with this, go out and watch the trailer. You're able to have UV ink do multiple different things. You can have it just appear on your hand. You can have it disappear. There's manual processes. There's automatic processes for it. All built into this little UV pin light, essentially. A common one that you see people do, or you hear about people doing, is kind of the double cross effect, where you put a cross on someone's hand, you can shine the light on their hand, and they can watch the cross vanish. You can then take the pin light to your hand, show that it's not there, and then show that it slowly starts to materialize on your hand. So that's the basic. There's a lot of different tricks that are included with the download. Again, I don't have the exact number. I should have pulled that up beforehand, but I did not. But that's that's the go-to for a lot of people. But there's stuff with cards. There's stuff where there's stuff with cards. There's stuff on the user group where people are doing all sorts of different things. I have an idea using clue cards that I haven't done yet, because I've tried to use the pin that's included on cards, and I've not had a lot of luck with it actually shining through. And I don't know if that is the pin's fault or if it's the card's fault. So I need to get a couple more pins and try it out and try different things out. But for the most part, with what you get with the pin, it works really well. I've not had, other than I haven't noticed it working well on cards. Again, that has been my experience. It's still working just like it did day one on Flesh. My initial complaints on the little torch itself was alignment issues. And I still have a little bit of an issue with that. Now in the tutorial they show you how to kind of correct that, and if you talk to people who use this all the time, they'll tell you how to get around it. For a while I was using a diffuser on the front of the little torch, but that decreased so much of the light. It helped a ton with the alignment issues, but it decreased the amount of light coming out of the torch by a lot, so I had to be really close to use it. But you can get around a lot of the alignment issues just by knowing when that transition happens to adjusting your hand, and kind of just knowing how the lights work and how the lights line up to be able to make that fairly seamless. Setting up for the mode that you want to be into, I think there's 6 modes. Sounds right. It's really easy to get into. Um, I've seen some people complain about that, but the getting into the modes is super easy. I would say I have been called out for people noticing the change in light. Now, to be fair, those call outs have happened from people who work with UV light a lot in their day to day job. Um, so that is kind of be aware of that because it is. I mean, even when I'm looking at it, I can tell, like, I know when the UV light's on as opposed to when the UV light is not on. Um, so if you're doing this for people who are aware of UV, who work with UV, they're going to know, they're going to see when the magic happens. But overall, my experience with this has improved greatly over the last 6 months of using it and playing around with it uh, and getting it out there more and more into the real world. You know, you do want to be in a little bit darker setting. Um, you can do it in lit areas, but you need to make sure to adjust for that. Um, a great way is to create a shadow with your body if you can, or with your spectator's body, um, and make it a very close up and personal effect. Um, I do still have some complaints about the unit itself. I would have liked to have seen it be a little bit higher quality um, of body, but this will stand up to a lot of abuse. I have not put mine on my keychain. I've just only put it in my uh, pocket watch pocket of my jeans, um, so it's not getting beat up. And that's mostly because I've not found a split ring I like, because I do not like the little split ring that comes on the device. I would have liked that to have been a little bit better quality. Um, just because I know how rough I am with things, and like just pulling it here, I can see the split ring starting to come apart. Um, so I would have liked to have seen a higher quality of split ring on that. Um, but otherwise, everything else is pretty solid with this. Like I said, it's taken me. I wanted to revisit it after 6 months because my initial review I was kind of rough on it, and honestly, it's not that bad. A lot of the complaints that I had early on, that with my experiences with it, um, have a lot of this resolved itself. I've learned to work with it better. Um, I've learned to control it better, and you know, I'm going to stick to some things that I've said. Like, it's not doing magic with UV ink isn't a new revolutionary idea. Um, but the mechanics built into this um, make this a lot different than what you could do. So, in the previous video, you can see where I talk about my old close-up case that's in my closet, where I have a UV pen and a UV flashlight, and I did the same. I did a lot of, I do like predictions, like ashes on arm effects with that, and I've done that for years. I started doing that like in 2006, 2007. Um, so the whole idea of UV and magic isn't a new concept, but the mechanism in here that allows for the vanish and the appearance lets you bring up, if you have done UV magic in the past, lets you bring up that experience. Um, the other thing that I would still stick with as well from my last review is it does still feel a little bit overpriced. And that could just, I still think that stems a lot from me, like knowing how much parts cost and know how much markup is. But you do get a lot of material. You get a lot of tutorials. You've got the Facebook user group that you're getting a lot of, other people's ideas. There people are coming up with like, hey, I thought about doing this. Um, but I would like to see it knocked down a little bit, price wise. Um, and then maybe even coming with and this is me going into being a little bit nitpicky, um, because it's acknowledged that when you first get it, you're going to run through a set of batteries pretty quick. Um, and I get a lot of things that use little button batteries or little wash batteries that come with a spare set. So that is something else I'd probably like to see added, especially for what you're paying for. Like, give me this, and then give me one set of spare batteries. That way, because you know that I'm going to blow through the first set, I'm going to kill them really quick. Um, just playing around and practicing with this. So I would say include a spare set of batteries. Um, I'm already paying, like I said, whatever amount. I don't even remember how much I paid for this. I just remember uh, I felt that it was just a little bit too much. Um, but yeah, include another a spare set of batteries. I know they're cheap. You can go and buy them yourself for next to nothing. But it would be nice to have those ready to go. So when you're playing with it, it's not immediately within like a month of playing with it or less. I've seen people run through their batteries really quick, being like, "Oh man, now I have to go buy batteries and I can't do anything with this." So it would be nice to have those to be able to say, "Okay, I've got to swap them. Now I know that I'm behind and I need to go buy another backup set." Um, and there might have been a reason for not including a spare set. I don't know what that is. I don't know what those meetings look like. Um, but that might be the biggest change that I would make. So um, slight price reduction, spare set of batteries. But I do think, again, my opinion overall has changed of this quite a bit since playing around with it more. Having it in my possession for 6 months and performing this a decent amount at this point. Um, so much so that I'm on like my third, fourth set of batteries. Um, I think, I don't remember what I ranked it. I ranked it pretty low, I think, last time. So I would definitely, I still don't have it at a 5 or at a 10 or what, our highest rating. I think might go by, I think, let's go to 5. Um, but it's up there. Um, I think that if you're looking for something super, super visual that feels super impossible, um, I think this is a great choice. Honestly, I think if you want to do double cross, which I'm not a big fan of that trick at all, um, but doing it with the UV and the vanishing and the transfer, I think is a better trick. I would save up for this instead of buying double cross, personally. And it is nice that this is something you can throw this on your keychain and just forget about it. Um, and you can get a lot of different kind of UV inks. Um, you can get just a jar of ink. You can get a stamp pad of ink. You can get different colors of UV ink. Um, so there's a lot of different things that you can do and play around with. So yeah, like I'd put this. I'm definitely ranking this higher now. I put it up about a 4.5 to a 4.8. Um, it's still to me not the perfect trick, but it has grown on me a lot. And I think this is just something to realize, on other things as a magician. Like, and I've said this a lot, like, just because you buy something or you get something today that you're like, I'm not into this, this isn't really for me, I don't like it, it's garbage, doesn't mean that when you revisit it or when you spend more time with it, doesn't mean that your opinion is not going to change. Magic is a very subjective thing, but I can't count the number of things that I've bought that I've been disappointed with at first. I'm like, okay, this just really isn't for me. That I've either kept playing with or revisited years down the road and be like, man, this is a really good trick. And I think with something like Lux, if it's something that you bought and you immediately dismiss, go back to it, play around, spend some more time and play around with it. I did my review after a couple of weeks of having it, I believe. Um, and in 2 weeks, I was like, this is going to give me everything, all the experience I need with it. And it didn't. So, I mean, I felt comfortable when I got that experience. I'm like, okay, it's still not for me. I'm not impressed. But having that extra, what's really 8 months that I've had it, um, it's really grown on me. I've had a lot of really good experiences. Being in the Facebook group has helped out a lot, seeing other people's ideas, um, and then just kind of getting used to how it works. Getting used to like those alignment issues that are going to be a non-issue. Um, the more you play with it, the more you get comfortable with the prop. Um, so don't immediately, it's okay to immediately, if you want to dismiss something or not like it, um, it's okay to give something, be like, it's not for me, or not recommend it to people in your personal experience. But don't completely shut it out forever and think that it's just never going to be a good trick, because things can grow on you, your opinion can change. And for me, Lux is one of those things that my opinion changed on. So um, I can admit when I've changed my opinion on things, and Lux is definitely something I'm going to always carry on me going forward. I just need to find one of these in like a mini Sharpie size. So if you have any links for a little like mini UV pen that I can also clip on my keychain, uh, good on you, send those my way. Because I'd love to keep it on my keychain like a little mini Sharpie. Just so I always have this and don't have to remember to grab the UV pen to take it out with me. But that is my 6 month, really 8 month follow up on Lux. Um, I'm really happy with it. I'm glad I stuck out with it, and love that my thoughts on things like this can grow and change with still after 34 years of Magic uh, to do to look at something and not like it at first, and then be like, okay, yeah, now it's a great little track. Um, so yeah, that is the revisit of Lux by Lloyd Barnes. You can pick it up at your favorite Magic dealer. I don't remember the price, so just go into it knowing that I feel it is a little bit pricey, and it could be reduced a little bit, but it's still a solid trick. And I think if you're looking for something that's really, really visual and really, really impossible, and you perform in darker settings, I think 100% this is for you. Uh, but that's the video. It's gone long. I want to thank you for watching. If you've made it all the way here, I'd love for you to give the video a thumbs up. Um, if you're a troll, you can give the video a thumbs down. I know people don't like me because I'm monotone and boring, and I don't talk like this, even though people think I do. Um, but I get it. I got a deep voice. I ramble. It's what I do. This is my channel. I don't care. But thank you for watching, and we will catch you in the next video.